Hello, you guys. Happy, what day is it? Thursday. Happy Thursday. And we are back with Heart Health with the amazing Nurse Stephanie. We're so happy you guys are here. So I'm going to go ahead and start tagging my page so we can get more friends to join us. And if you're here, give us a heart. And what are we going to be talking about tonight, Miss Steph?
So we're staying with the month of February. Love yourself. Okay, love yourself first. Love. So just because Valentine's ended does not mean that we're not going to talk about our heart and love. And we're just going to make Valentine's last all month long. So from now on, MFF, any family of ours, we're just going to call February just Valentine's. The whole month, every day. Okay, every day should be Love Yourself Day.
Love it. Should we do a little quick recap for those people who are just joining us, maybe what we've done in the first
So the first, remember we talked about Heart Health 101, the first day, the first Thursday, we talked about how the heart worked, how the pump worked, kind of more focusing on blood pressure and kind of the whole system and how it's all connected to everything that we do. And last week we talked about, different type of heart diseases, like different type of issues, kind of like warning signs and symptoms to look out for. So just because, the next day I had a medical emergency and helped somebody, I wanted to kind of bridge that in because that's what happens in our life is things happen to us and we don't really have much control over it unless we talk about it and learn kind of what's going on. So today I had to do some research because a lot of people were asking about heart rate and what device is the best thing to use to monitor during exercise. So I did some investigation and I went to the American Health Association website because that's where we get all of our certifications from. And we're going to talk about everything about heart rate. So, this is going to be it's just a little heart rate 101. Okay, so heart rate is also known as your pulse. Okay, and we did that. And we're going to do it again. We're going to do a little bit of math. It's going to be a little bit interactive today. Okay, you guys ready?
Yeah, so make sure you guys interact with us. Send us hearts. Also, questions can go up, and we will definitely be answering them at the end. Let's go. We're so happy you're here. Thank you for joining us again. And let's give Miss Stephanie a big warm welcome. We appreciate her time.
Okay, so the first question is, what should we know about heart rate? Okay. So that's the first question. So knowledge about your heart rate is going to help you measure your fitness level. Okay, we're going to talk about that and we're going to do it this week. We're going to have homework and then we're going to talk about kind of paying attention to that, and you will too and I will too while we're working out and kind of check ourselves on this new information. So I'm going to be resourcing some of this information, okay? So by us doing this homework, it's going to allow us to kind of spot if there's anything going on as well. So it says here that if you monitor your heart rate, it can help you monitor your fitness level and any developing health problems, kind of like what we talked about last time, okay?
Great.
So heart rate or pulse is the number of times your heart beats in a minute. Who knows remember we talked about that blood pressure number, what is it? Top number. Well, what is a heart rate average? What is the average heart rate? What do you guys think?
What do you guys think? Idea? We went over it last time.
Yeah, but I mean, so many things come and go. Just a guesstimate.
I remember mine was 60 at resting. So I think you said normal was somewhere between 80. What's it? 70.
You're right there. Yeah. So anything that's considered average according to the American Health Association is between 60, like Mary said.
60?
Yeah, 60, 80. So 60 to 100 beats a minute. Okay, so your heart is beating with that force, every minute. So 60 to 80 times. So your resting heart rate is the lowest amount of blood you need when you're not exercising. So it shouldn't change that much from when you're sitting or standing. There shouldn't be really that much difference in your heart rate when that's or lying. It should be kind of about the same. So it says here the best time to check your resting heart rate is the first thing you do in the morning.
There you go. How many of you guys check your heart rate? Anybody out there, give us a thumbs up if you do this all the time. You check your heart rate, resting heart rate, or when you're working out, you look at your maybe you have I can't think of it, a watch.
Apple Watch or smartwatch.
Mm-hmm.
Tells you, you're in your phone sometimes.
Yeah.
People have it connected to their phone. So it
Anybody
said when
do
you
that? Okay,
first,
we got one person.
Yay! So when you first wake up, this is part of our homework. Remember, this is part of our homework. We're just gonna, if we have one, we're just gonna glance and look at our resting heart rate.
Yes,
so
Kyla says yes.
When I read this, I was like, I looked at it, it was like 59. I was like, all right, like that's
right,
good. And then right now, because I'm talking and I'm nervous, it is.
Is it going up? Is it
like,
going
is
up?
it? Oh, 82. Okay, so
Well,
mine,
you're nervous.
yeah, it's just so you can see that there's some changes there. Okay, so first thing in the morning, we're going to look and see what our resting heart rate is. Or when we're just resting, you can kind of be like, yeah, that's about mine. So I was about 60, you're about 60.
Yes,
We'll
let's
call
do
ours
it again.
Yeah, we'll start to monitor now. Okay, so where do we find our heart rate if we don't have a watch? Okay,
60
do you remember
right now.
Where can
There's
we
a couple
find?
different places. So I always will take my pulse on my wrist, or you can also take it right here.
Yay!
When you can find it.
So you don't need technology for this homework assignment, okay? And how you do it is beats per minute. Okay, so to get a fully accurate reading, you would count for a full minute. Okay? If you're kind of like, oh, I kind of like pretty about the same every time, you can do 30 seconds and then multiply that number by 2. So if you get to 30 in 30 seconds, multiplied by 2, 40 would be 80, okay? So that's how you find your pulse is on your wrist. It's a good place. Right here, like Mary said, those are the major ones for us. There's a couple other locations on the body. The top of the foot is kind of weird. A lot of nurses use that. It's a trick of ours, behind the elbows. And actually, a funny place you might see your pulse that I learned in nursing school, it's really weird.
Where?
Is when you're laying down and you're doing crunches, there's this little like thing right here above your belly button. It goes like boom.
Oh, that's
Have you
what I
seen
always
that?
feel, because it feels like I'm pregnant again.
And
I'm
so
like, what's
I've
going
never
on?
had a baby, so I was like,
There's a flutter.
some people
don't want
don't
babies.
have it, and some people don't know what I'm talking about. And I saw it, and I was like, oh my god, it's so cool! Like you can just see this little like.
I'm glad you brought that up. I thought it was just me and I had some gas levels or was pregnant again.
So
What's
you
up,
can
Carol?
you can
From the
see
UK.
that, okay? If your heart rate resting is below 60, it does not necessarily mean anything is wrong, okay? Some athletes, their heart rate can be like 40 at resting because of the
they're
conditioning
so
of the
conditioned.
heart and that muscle, okay? So don't think that just because it's a little bit on the lower side,
Love the hearts.
we're going to talk about how you age, what the changes in that heart rate are going to be. So don't worry too much if you're below 60. Like some of our patients who are older, they'll have like, they'll be sleeping and they're wearing heart monitors, and they'll call us and say, hey, your patient's heart rate dipped down to, 40s, and maybe their baseline is 50s or 60s. And that's when we get a little nervous on the cardiac unit and just go in and wake them up. And then it goes back up and you're like, okay, never mind. Everybody's fine. So knowing your resting heart rate is our assignment number 1.
Okay. So that's your assignment, guys. So write that down, put it in your phone to remind you.
And let us know if you see your little boom, boom, boom here right above your belly button sometimes when you're laying there and doing your cool downs. You'll be like, that is so weird. I never noticed that before. And, I mean, you can count it. Let's try it. We can see if we can count ours.
I'll try. Not right now.
Not right
now, but maybe when we're doing
a fun experiment.
But yeah, so you guys can put that tomorrow. Maybe you can share with us, hey, this was my, resting heart rate. And then when I was, moving, whether you're doing vigorous workout or maybe you're just taking a walk, you can measure that too to just kind of see where you're at.
We're going to talk about those target zones. That's going to be
let's talk about target zones.
That's going to be part 2 of this talk.
So this is part 1.
So Mary's going to write, because we have to write backwards, our resting heart rate, our average, what that number is going to be on there. Okay, we're going to add to it. So you can just put heart rate, pulse, and remember it's going to be backwards, and it's going to be 60 to 100.
60 to 100. Okay, I'm going to write it this way, and then I'm going to copy it. Okay, keep
talking.
Oh,
that's
yeah, I'm going to write this 60 to 100. Perfect.
Learning tricks here. Okay, so what other factors can affect
60 to 100?
Yes.
Okay.
Just like 120 over 80 blood pressure.
Got it.
60 to 100 is our heart rate, pulse, okay? And I forgot to correct myself. Somebody told me or just mentioned You know, we said blood pressure and that top number, bottom number. The actual scientific words are systolic is the top number and diastolic is the bottom number. So I forgot to use those words. So yeah, systolic over diastolic, but blood pressure, the higher over lower, yeah, the squeeze and the fill. So there we go. Oh, wow,
anxiety and caffeine. Roy,
yes.
Okay, she's
so
asking questions, but take
emotions. She got it. Okay, so if you're stressed, anxious, extraordinarily happy, okay, that can change our heart rate. Like I said, I checked it when I got here. It just automatically shoots up. You feel that energy. You get excited. Okay, your heart gets excited too. Okay,
see a human.
So it can happen when you're sad too. So it does change. Okay, there is some variability. So what other things do you think could change? So anxiety, caffeine. Okay, those are good answers. The temperature.
Ooh, temperature.
Outside.
Oh.
Interesting, right? So your body actually has to pump a little bit more blood, but usually not more than like 5 to 10 beats. Okay, it's just like that kind of that blood pressure. You shouldn't see a huge change. So because when it's really hot and humid, your heart just has to work harder to get the body a little bit more blood. So it's kind of interesting. So hot days, you know, your heart might be pumping a little bit more. Stay hydrated, okay? That should help. Let's see. Overweight. Ooh. So body size. It says here, usually doesn't change a pulse, okay? If it says it might be higher than normal, but not usually more than 100. So these are very interesting. And remember, this is from the American Heart Association website. So that's where we're getting our information from, because that's where I do my cardiac, the advanced life support from. Okay, so great question. Married couple stuff. Whoa.
Oh, sure.
That could be related to all kinds of stuff. Emotions. Okay, medication use. If you're like, they're driving me crazy, I need to take some. Okay, so medications can also slow your pulse, and those are those heart medications we talked about. Okay. So normally not typically traditional medications, but heart medications specifically will change your pulse. Okay. One's called a beta blocker. If any of you guys have ever heard those words before, it's a certain type of heart medication. Specifically will slow your pulse. Okay. And someone was talking about thyroid a couple weeks ago or last week, and says here too much of a thyroid medication or too high of a dose can raise it too. And remember, we were talking about feeling dizzy, and someone was talking about endocrinologists. So medications, okay. If you don't, body size, not typically, even if you're on, it says here, very obese, it still shouldn't be above 100. So it shouldn't really change much. Emotions, your body position, okay.
Yeah, right.
It's usually the same, but as you stand the first 15 to 20 seconds, and it should go up a little bit, it says. Okay. But after a couple minutes, it should settle back down. So there's not really much factors that change it too much. So then we kind of have a baseline.
Well, that's good.
And that's good because we're going to talk about the chart that we're going to look at to follow our heart and where's our target for all of our ages in the next section. Okay. So that 60 to 100 is going to come in really important. Okay.
Cool. What do they say?
So
stimulants and
medications.
Yeah.
That excitement. Okay. So what is our target heart rate for what we're talking about with fitness and monitoring our health and loving ourselves? Okay, what is that target? How do you find your target? What is your target? So we're going to talk about your resting heart rate, which we did. What's your max and what's your target? Okay. So how do you find this? So when you're working out, are you doing too much? Are you not doing enough? I honestly, I have this technology and I don't really know how to use it. So I'm glad you guys asked about this, because now we're going to have to be forced to learn it together and try it together. So I'm really excited about this. So it says a simple way to know your target heart rate will help you hit the bullseye so you can get the max benefits from every step, swing, and squat. Okay, that's pretty impressive. That's pretty powerful.
Yeah,
So if we know what our target is, then we can hit it. If we don't know, there's things we don't know, how we're gonna do it, right? So I don't know. I just push myself based on how I feel. But if I can glance and go, oh, I can push myself harder, you're really working that heart muscle in your zone, okay, for your age and to hit your target, okay? So it's not just like doing 10 extra squats, it's maybe pushing yourself in that moment for that muscle to get stronger.
I like that.
So it says, even if you're not a gym rat or a athlete, knowing your heart rate can help you track your health and fitness. So we talked about our resting heart rate. Now we're talking about our maximum and target rates, okay? So it says there's...
Write them down?
Yeah, we're going to go over it. So maximum heart rate. Okay, that's what we're going to write.
I'll
Do you
put
need another
another
paper?
Sure.
Now we're going to talk about our maximum for our ages, and we're going to figure this out right now, okay?
Perfect.
I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I am also 40. Okay, so we're going to find out my max heart rate based on my age.
Okay.
Okay, so maximum heart rate.
Got it.
So it's a little bit of math today. It's very easy math. Okay, remember these numbers. 60 to 100 is our normal level. It doesn't really change that much. Okay, we should be somewhere in there. If it's a little below, it's okay as long as you're not taking heart medications. If so, make sure you check with your provider about, staying in your zone, okay? Just talking about general stuff right now. Okay, so max heart rate. Ready? Max heart rate is 220
Okay.
minus your age.
Ooh.
Interesting. We know blood pressure is 120 over 80, so an easy way to remember is 220 minus your age is your max heart rate.
Oh, this is
So
cool.
what is mine? Can you do an example on there and do 220 minus 40?
Sure. So 220 minus 40. All right, who's going to do the math now?
Come on.
It's been a while.
Mary's,
All right.
she's got the little logarithms here. Oh my goodness. I told you a little bit of simple math today. And then we do have a little...
I figured it out. 180.
180. So that, and it's funny because after I finish an exercise and I hit done, it tells me my max. And I always look at that and I'm like, oh, 185. So
220 minus age.
I was like, oh, okay. Like it tells me you hit your max heart rate and then how many calories you burned and like how much you're in the target zones. I didn't really understand all that, but I did notice that I was always about 185. So I guess I have been hitting my max heart rate, which is good. Well,
Carol, why are you in trouble? Put it in the chat box over here.
I work out with this one, so I should be hitting my max heart rate, right? So, okay, so now we know our max heart rate. So
do yours really quick.
Do
if
your
you
math.
want to, put it in the chat box when you're done.
220 minus your age, and there's some gaps, okay? So when you're younger, your max heart rate is higher, and as you age, it's going to go down, okay? So right now, I'm at 180, right? I'm 40. So when you start off in your 20s, so 220 minus 20, your zone's going to be 200, right? Pretty easy. Like, that's where you should be shooting for, right? When you're 30, it would be right in between here. It would be 200, it would be 190.
I can start writing some of those. I can kind of
These are just kind of general, right? Like,
so if you're 20, it's
you're in your 20s. Yes, so in your 20s, you should be your maximum heart rate should be about 200. In your 30s, I mean, obviously you're going to have variations with 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 40, right? It should be around 190s.
Okay.
In your 40s,
got it. 180.
we already know 180.
Okay. 50s.
What do you think, Mary?
We're just going down 10.
There we go. So we're making it simple math, everybody. Simple.
60s.
There we go.
We're at 160.
There we go.
Okay, and then we're going to keep going down. So 70, you're going to be at 150.
Okay. And then when we all get to the age of 100, I'm just kidding.
Can you guys see those? I didn't have to go turn around.
Does that make sense to everybody? It's pretty easy to find your max now, right? I didn't know what my max was until I looked this up earlier. So, and Mary is with me, so, I mean, she's going to be pushing herself. I know, we're going to see if she can get up to the
Hey, I'm going to be 41 next month. What the heck? I still didn't get to have my party.
Party every day. Okay, so now that we know our resting and we know our max, we need to find out our target. Okay?
Well, we got lots of hearts over here.
So
we'll have the party, Kyla.
Our target when we're doing moderate intensity, we're going to talk about first, and then we're going to talk about when we're doing our higher intensity, what our targets are.
So this is max heart rate. Okay.
This is max. Okay,
right.
so we're going to keep
this.
This is just regular. This is the max, and now we're going to talk about our targets.
Ooh, time for targets.
Simple math today. Heart math. Heart math.
Yeah,
Who loves
I
heart
love
math? I love heart math. Okay.
So target.
So we're going to talk about, like we said, when you're walking, it's obviously going to go up. You're not going to be too crazy. You're not going to hit your 180 when you're strolling around the block, okay? So we're going to talk about what are our target rates for our intensity, which would be your level of moderate, okay? And then, so target rates for moderate and high intensity. We're going to talk about that. So moderate is you're going to do 50 to 70% of your max. Okay, so we're going to do mine first.
How do you want me to write it? Like moderate and what?
So moderate and intense.
Okay.
Okay.
And just do 2 like that. Is that okay? Or are you going to do it
yeah,
for every
age? Yeah, you can do a line across.
Okay.
No, whatever.
Moderate
Just
and
keep it
what?
simple.
Intense?
Moderate and intense, yeah. So moderate, we want 50, so half of our max. Okay, so for me, it would be 90. I'm in the zone. Right now, I'm burning calories, girl. I'm all excited.
Excited, nervous.
I'm in the zone. Oh, I'm at 80s. I'm not really I'm not in the moderate. I'm still in a light zone right now, but I was excited when I first got here. So moderate is 50%.
Okay. To 70%?
To 70% of your max.
Okay.
You can just put
max.
Yeah, max.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna do my math real fast.
Can you see that? So I don't have to write backwards. There we go.
I can write backwards. I was a teacher too for a while. So okay, so mine.
Of your max.
We're gonna do mine was 180, right? This is Ninja Steph's. We're gonna use this is my max.
How you guys doing out there? Have you figured out your max?
Ninja Steph my max is 180. Okay, so my is it? Oh, it is backwards still, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So my mod, we're gonna do some simple math,
Hi,
guys.
Nina.
I can
doing simple math.
50% off of 180. Okay, $1.80. How much would you have half of 180?
Half of 180. Well, half of
What's half of 18?
9. So
yeah.
90.
There we go. There's some simple math. So anyone that's in their 40s, you should be 90 is going to be our first, the 50% one.
Perfect.
Okay.
I need to use my math brain again here.
Okay, to 70%. 70% is hard. So when we do math, an easy way to do is I'm going to go to my calculator. It's true. And then how do you do that on percentages? Like we forget, right? Like we're just gonna make it simple. Like, all get out your calculator. Okay?
Everybody, get out your
We're
calculators.
gonna get our numbers right now.
Right.
You're not getting away from it. Okay.
Let's do it.
So yours is the same. So we put 180.
180
times.
Okay.
Since we're doing fractions, percentage turns into fractions. We put a 0.70. That's 70%.
Okay.
Equals 126.
There we go.
We could just round it to 125, but
126.
our exact number is 126. Okay. And that's the 50%. Oh, I don't know if it's coming across.
It's not backwards.
Oh, it's not backwards. No wonder.
No. You have to write.
Gotcha.
Just flip it over. That's why I was writing on top of it.
Gotcha. Okay. So you could put ours right here next to the mod. Our little number, maybe
126
is our but remember it's 90 to 126. It's the range.
Oh, so it's 90 to 126.
That's our moderate, like target zone heart rate. Okay, when we're doing moderate intensity activities, 50% of our max to 70% of our max is called our moderate.
Okay, so that's when we're working moderate.
Yeah.
Moderately, 90 to 126.
That's for us in our 40s. Hey. What about 50s? Let's hear some 50s. Hey, who's out there? What about some 20s?
Represent in the house.
30s. Hey. Okay.
Keep rocking the skinny jeans and the side parts, people. Don't let the TikTokers put you down.
Find your moderate intensity heart rate. Okay, so I'm doing burpees with Mary and I'm looking down and I'm at 80. I'm just kind of like.
Oh, then you're not really going.
And then let's say I'm doing burpees with Mary and I'm at, 140. Well, I am now above my moderate. I now know I'm in my intense zone. Okay, so now we're going to talk about what are the intense zone percentages.
So we're going intense now.
Now we're going intense. So now you know you're moderate. So you're like, I'm just going to average mine 90 to 125. It's just easier for me to remember like a solid number. So now when I look down at my watch and I'm at 125, I'm just going to push myself. Okay, now anybody that's out there listening in their 40s, you look at your watch and you're at 125, I want you to push yourself to get into that intense zone.
Be proud.
Okay?
Be proud.
Okay, so
back in the intense zone, what's our percentage?
So back to our faithful little...
What does that say? 52. Let's go, Miss Michelle.
Let's go.
Rock it out, baby.
Okay, it says for to target...
45. Get it, girl.
The target for moderate was 50 to 7. Vigorous is 70.
Okay.
So that last number, that 125, like I said, push yourself over it.
Okay.
So it's going to be, we're just going to put 126 because it's still that 70%.
But what is that? 70% to what?
70% to 85%.
Okay. What happens if you go 100%?
Then you're at your max.
Oh,
if you go above it, you're maxed out. Like when Mary says max out, she says max out. That's
right.
Go above it if you can, right? Like just saying that this is your this is once again like it's kind of like the blood pressure and pulse. It's a guide. Okay, you're always gonna be a little bit above, a little bit below, but we're just talking about like what does this all mean? What do all these numbers mean? So many numbers, but they're fun.
Right. And you made me think about workouts that are moderate, right? Low to moderate, moderate to heavy, and then you got the super intense workouts, right? We don't go intense for a full 60 minutes, right? We in a lot of workouts we're more in the moderate zone, so we can hit the max out for 10 to 20 seconds, or in a Tabata, when somebody asks me, what is a Tabata? What's the point of a Tabata? Well, the point of the Tabata is to get to the intense zone, to get to epoch, right? But it's only for bursts of moments. 20 seconds, rest. 20 seconds, rest. Come back, and we're pumping that heart, we're working that muscle, but you're not going like a Tabata for a full hour, right? It's not possible. Even if you call it a Tabata class for an hour, you're going to hit moderate zone. You can't stay here the whole time. So, all right, sorry.
Okay, no, I love all this.
Okay,
cool. I love all this.
I remember like on the machines at the gym, they had labels with heart
rate
ranges
for
fat burn
and hold
cardio.
on, and then it would like read your pulse, and then give you kind of your zone. So that's what it was doing. It was kind of, and you would put in your age, remember, and your weight and all that stuff, and your female amount, so it can kind of get this chart basically to where we know what we are. Okay, so 85%, you take that top number. Ours was 180. Our big one. We put the X times, and then we put 0.85 on our calculator. Okay?
And that's going to give us
our intense 85% number is 153.
That's the max? Okay.
Yeah, so we're going to go from 126 was our 70%.
126
to 153.
Okay. And remember, this is for somebody who's 40, right? So you're going to do your own math with your own age.
Exactly. So I like to just round up. So I'm working out with Mary. I'm just going to glance at my watch. And if I'm in my 90 to 125 zone, I'm pretty moderate. And then my song comes on. Oh, what happened? I look,
just kidding.
And I just turn it on, right? So then I want to see, like, maybe when I'm in that zone, look down. Like, I'm keeping it in my head, 125 to 165, okay? And then I want to stay there for that whole song, right? I'm just going to get it out. And then I can see if I win during that activity. I don't know. It just tells me my max at the end. Do I hit my max? Was it during my song? You know, can you catch that moment when you hit your max? And what were you doing? How did you feel? You know, that's the kind of things we want to hone on, right? Like when do we go from moderate to intense? What was it? A song? Was it a feeling? Was it a certain class? Was it a certain activity? Okay. I know I get like winded like when we do like the big muscle groups, you know, like with squats and like, you know, afterwards your heart is just like beating like crazy, right? And I'm like, well, maybe I hit my 185 during squats. I have no idea. Right? I mean, some of these things can tell you, and you guys can teach me how to use it.
Yeah, it has a graph, right?
And if you guys know any of this information that we're talking about, the gaps, please like send us messages, and we can follow up next week. So, because that's our homework is, okay, knowing what your resting heart rate is, knowing what your max heart rate is, knowing what your moderate intensity zone is, and then also knowing what your high intensity zone is. And then we're going to see what we're doing that pushes us into each category and above. Okay?
Yeah, I love
so that is our homework for this week. We want to answer any questions that you guys have out here.
I was going to say really quick because you made me think about this. So how many of you guys use spin bikes? Raise your hands, hearts, thumbs up.
I cannot get my butt off of that chair thing.
So if you ever have been in a spin class and the teacher says, you know, all right, we're going to be this many RPMs. This is how, you know, we want to go. We want to keep you in the 170s because you're sprinting, right? Or you're doing heavy load. We want to keep you in the 140s or hit the 80s. I was thinking about that being kind of like, it really helps you when you're on the bike. The instructor tells you what you want to feel, but the bike, when you're looking at the RPMs, you can kind of see like, oh shoot, I thought I was at 160. It felt like 160 RPMs. We're not talking about heart rate, okay? But then like, you know, you feel yourself kind of slow down and then the number starts to drop rapidly. And it would motivate me to kind of keep myself in the zone. So I was thinking about you, like what you were saying about looking at the heart rate, if you have your watch and you're able to do that and find those zones and say, wow, that's when I hit that level of threshold of, you know, that fat burning zone or that moment where I'm really pushing myself. And I want to keep hitting that feeling that, you know, to get myself in the zone. So you can use this to help you, you know, get stronger and get fitter. By just using your heart rate. So
yeah, and I mean this is a tool because I know after I close my activity out, it tells me my max that I reached and I maxed out, which is I'm very excited. Yay! I hit way above my target, and then also it'll tell me how long I was in each zone.
Oh, okay.
And I was just like, I don't really know what the zones are, so I just kind of was like, oh, that looks cool. Like, you know, I'd see like yellow. You know, like I think in the middle, like moderate, and then like when I was in the intense zone, it would be green, and it would give me how many minutes I was in each. So if I have an hour activity and I'm seeing that I'm hitting my moderate, you know, maybe for 15 minutes and my high intensity for 5, maybe I can start monitoring if I like to do, you know, a certain activity. Like I can do just combat and then look at that zone and then kind of turn it on a little bit more and then do it again and see is my moderate intensity getting higher just because I'm conscious of this now? Is my higher intensity getting higher because now I can push myself from that moderate to high? And is it longer? Is it more minutes? So this is stuff that we can track and kind of like it's a good incentive to like have something to look forward to after the workout. Like don't be afraid of numbers. They're so fun, okay? Like it looks scary. Please explain this to other people. 220 minus your age, you know, kind of just goes from, you know, it's just kind of 10-year knowledge, you know, to pass on. Like, oh, don't worry. Like, we don't want our friends at the gym overexerting themselves based on their age group. You know, we want to push our friends, you know, like.
Stay in that good, healthy zone that's good for your body, for your heart, and that you're feeling good too. Because maybe you are going over and you're not feeling good. So these are things that now you have some numbers to look at. You can use some data to analyze it. And Stephanie was saying, I'm sure all of you guys are pros, but I know that if you have an Apple Watch, you can go onto the app and it'll graph kind of different things of your workout so you can kind of see that. So you can check that out. What are we saying over here? 70 in July.
I need to look at, wow.
Oh my gosh,
so
you don't look 70 at all. You're amazing. You're so strong.
And her max should be about, remember, she didn't fit on here, but that's 150. That's beautiful.
That's awesome, Marlene. You're my hero.
And I bet you she, like, puts me to shame. So, congrats. And remember, being above or below does not necessarily mean anything's wrong. but it helps us monitor for if there's a change real dramatically either way, that maybe, you know, it's an indication that there could be something going on. Like the heart rate and rhythm, really, like we said, if we're sitting, standing, or lying, after a couple minutes, shouldn't change that much. Okay, our resting heart rate is kind of where things would kind of go awry. Like when we were talking about your mommy, like getting up and getting a little lightheaded, it could be pulse, it could be blood pressure. Okay, it's definitely the pump. Okay, the pump and the oxygen going around. So,
but make sure, you know, for a lot of us right now, you're at home, you're sitting a lot, and you're kind of in that resting zone a lot. Remember that your heart is like a muscle. We gotta move. We gotta get into the moderate zone at least.
So all of you thinking that, like those house chores, washing dishes, you know, all that is exercise. Okay, you're not just sitting and standing, and your heart's working. You know, if you look down, just know that even if you're in that low zone, you're there. You're in the zone. You're in the zone. Okay, 60 to 80, 60 to 100 is our zone.
She's in the Netflix zone.
So, you know, just be proud of where you're at and be empowered with this knowledge because it helps us become stronger. Now I feel stronger. I'm like, can't wait for combat tomorrow.
Ooh, me too. And you can remind us to do
we can look at it afterwards. Like, everybody stop.
Your watches.
I'm going to close my activity and tell you my max out for the day, you know. When Mary says max out, maybe I can hit 190. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I always knew that I was hitting like about 185 after my workouts. Was my max. Was like, that sounds cool. I'm like, is that good? I don't know.
Right.
Well, now we know.
Now you know. Now you have data. Okay. So you guys, your homework is, number 1, we'll take your pulse if you haven't done that yet. Make sure you're alive. Number 2, go ahead and remember this little formula. Max heart rate, 220 minus your age. Find it. Your resting heart rate.
General pulse.
You need to know that pulse first, sorry. And then over here at the end, you want to hit these 50 to 70 for your max, 70 to 85 for your max for intense, right? And report back to us live at MFF. And remember to keep moving. Find something that you love and do it and move. If it's outside, you don't like to be on machines, you know, then just go do it. Go take a walk. Get that heart, body moving. It's also going to change everything too. You're getting your heart pumping, your body's moving, blood's running through your body. You're going to get rid of the depression and anxiety that's coming over us, you know, and these times are hard. So get outside and keep moving. And also, you can come to the platform for free. Come on over and try it out for a week. Check out my link in my bio, but it's just maryfultonfit.vhx.tv and find workouts. Some are 15 minutes, some are an hour. Find what works for you.
Yay. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much, Steph. We'll be back next week.
If you guys have any specific questions, obviously send them to us, and we'll touch on that in the next segment, which is our love ourselves one more time. At least all of February, we're loving ourselves all the time.
Still wearing our hearts. Thanks so much, you guys. We love you so much. And stronger together, mind, body, and soul. We love you. Bye. I'm going to go take this one off. Boom. And this one. Bye.